Ojibwe, Indigenous Cause, Waswaganing, and Dunjiba. My name is Georgian Brown. I grew up out in the old Indian village here in Lac du Flambeau, and I joined the Navy back in 1978. I stayed there for 6 years, became a postmaster eventually after 20 some years in the Postal Service. And now I'm happily retired, jigging around, paddling in my kayak.
Sounds good. How about you, Bill?
Bill Wildcat, United States Marine, the sergeant in the Marine Corps when I got out, and came home and tried to share my knowledge of what I've learned in the Marine Corps. Always keep your bearing, things of that nature. Always be honest, things of that nature. And then I came back home. I became a log home builder, custom homes, things like that. I'm retired now. I got put out to pasture due to a stroke a while back. So, trying to recover from that yet. It's an ongoing thing. And always look out in your community and try to help where you correct things that are not right. You're there. Help those immediately right around you that you know of. And always provide for them.
Sounds good. Okay, Vicki, I'll just ask you to introduce yourself. I know you're from the Lac du Flambeau community, so tell us about yourself.
My name is Victoria Long. I am a member of Lac du Flambeau Band of Lake Superior Chippewa Indians. I joined the United States Navy in January of 1981, and I was discharged in September of 1985. And I'm a retired Social Security Administration claims rep. And I'm currently active within assisting our veterans and working in our community to keep our veteran community alive and assisting with other veterans and what they need and helping.
My name is Melissa Dowd. I am from Lac du Flambeau, Wisconsin. I served in the Army for 20 years. 14 of that was active and 6 was guard. Been to various places around the world to include Korea, Japan, Fort Sill, Oklahoma, Fort Richardson, Alaska, Fort Knox, Kentucky, Schofield Barracks, Hawaii, and I did one tour in Iraq and then retired in 2010 out of Fort McCoy, Wisconsin. After my service, I came back to Lac du Flambeau, pursued and received my bachelor's degree in business management. I also joined the Lac du Flambeau School Board, and I worked for the Lac du Flambeau Business Development Corporation as the Director of Corporate Projects, and I also serve on the Grow North Board, which is a collaborated effort for economic development with the northern counties of Wisconsin. And I think that's it.
Are you part of the American Legion? What do
yes,
you do
and
with
I
them?
also joined the Veterans Group, or the Little American Legion we have here in Lac du Flambeau, to help any kind of efforts that they can come about with helping children, helping other veterans, different types of services in the community to help give back to our people.
Well, Buju, Mikizi Quain, Indigenous Cause, Dodam Mikizi, Waswaganing, and Dunjiba, aka Tinker Schumann, Waswaganing, from Lac du Flambeau here, Ojibwe Nation.
The second question is, how have you lived a warrior's life?
I've lived a warrior's life by following in the footsteps of my elders and other veterans that I grew up watching, and also serving in the government in the capacity of government agencies for 31 years. And I think that for me is following my warrior's path by helping others and through the government services. And also, I suppose, the water protecting, I can't think right now. Can you redo?
Yeah, I'll just.
Well, you just erase me, okay. All right, so one other thing that I do, like as far as a warrior, is protecting our waters and keeping them clean of invasive species. And I think that's very important for future and for our youth. The generations to come is to have clean water, because without water we have no life.
All right, Miigwech. How about you, Vicky?
What was
How have you lived a warrior's life?
Um,
You're a Navy veteran, right? Tell us about that.
I'm a Navy veteran, and as far as living a warrior's life, as Georgian, I've also worked for in the government services for 20 years, and I've always been in a capacity where it's been helping people with whatever type of benefits they've needed, and I like to continue that in my personal life. And it's just very important to listen to your elders and get their stories, and to try to keep that alive, and just be a part of that.
Okay, sounds good. How about you, Bill? How have you lived a warrior's life?
I joined the Marine Corps in 1979. I got out in 1985, and part of my duties were to train other Marines into becoming what they need to do, and I always looked out for my troops and looked for their needs, seeing to it that those were met, and to this day I still do that. When I got out in 1985, I walked right into one area of conflict into another one here back at home. So I was pretty well adapted to what they were about as far as the protesters.
So what conflict did you walk into?
Spearing.
Spearfishing, the
archery
walleye
rights.
wars?
Yes. I took on a job with as a warden, and I had to wear like 2 or 3 different hats. I took it upon myself a couple times to go out in the crowd and do what I had to do to keep them at bay from our people who were out there. Nobody was out there defending them on that side of the fence where everybody was located. It got pretty ugly a lot of times, but I kept a cool head and we prevailed. So.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else to add to how have you lived a warrior's life? Any of you?
I would just have to say that it's very important to just have the willingness to do whatever, to go above and beyond for like helping with veterans, or it doesn't even have to be a veteran, with just helping people with whatever they need to do it, to do that little bit, and to do it, in the goodness of your heart, and not expecting something in return.
And I think a lot about military bearing. When things in my life happen, for instance, I was in earthquakes myself, is the one we just had, and just being able to keep yourself together when things happen, that is one thing that I carry with me quite often.
How have you lived a warrior's life?
Well, I joined the Army when I was 19. I went to college for a year first, and joined like kind of by myself. A lot of people might go in with a buddy, like a buddy system, but it was just something I felt like I had to do. And it was a really great experience. It must have been okay if I did it for that long, but it wasn't all snow cones and cotton candy either. There was a lot of tough times, a lot of scary times. There have been times where I had to leave my family. I left my children for a year when I did that tour in Iraq, and that was probably one of the hardest things I ever did. Not only just the whole physical part of it, but also the mental. The year coming back was even harder. I had been in a lot of dark places during that time, and even to this day. But I still try to carry myself the best way that I can. I try to set a good example for my kids. I try to set a good example for the community. I try to be a good role model. I do my best to be involved in activities that are going on in the community, and so that kids can kind of look up, and they need that, that hero or that role model to look up to, and just kind of give them a little bit of encouragement if they're having a hard time. Maybe they're down and out and they don't think they can accomplish something, and just kind of got to boost their spirits and tell them that things can be done. They can do it if they put their mind to it. So part of my role is not just, serving our country as I did, but coming back and serving our tribe and our people in the best way that I can. Getting involved in activities with the American Legion, the school board, being involved at, the Indian Bowl and powwows in Bear River, and trying to help out our youth, doing what I can for business development to help our elderly and our youth. So my individual warrior life is doing everything that I can to help our community and be able to sustain ourselves for 7 generations and many years to come.
How have you lived a warrior's life?
I have lived a warrior's life from when I first went to Milwaukee, and I got involved in the Indians down there, in the urban Indians that were fighting for rights of getting teachers into the schools, helping people that were in prison. We'd go there and visit them, and the Indian Community School down in Milwaukee. We needed to have an Indian school and Indian teachers, so those are some of the things that we were fighting for years ago. And then coming back home and living here, working in different jobs here in the res. As the Elders Activity Coordinator, I was for many years, and helping lead the way to get our elders back into circulation of respecting elders. So that was one of them that I really enjoyed, working with alcohol and drug prevention. It was called Ishkade and Nini at that time, and we did a lot of gatherings together in celebration of elders, honor the Elders Day, honor the elders around. And then working with alcohol and drug prevention for the res was important. And then going to ceremonies, I received a pipe, and so then I was a woman pipe carrier, and that opened up a lot of doors for me, and praying for people, and sun dancing and moon dancing, and going to sweat lodges and having a lot of ceremony. And then also having the water walk here in Lac du Flambeau. I've seen our elder Josephine Mondaman doing that, and I didn't see anybody stepping up on the reservation here to do that. So I prayed about it, and then it all came together, and we had a water walk. We had 4 years of walking and protecting our water, and even going out to Standing Rock to dance out there with the moon dancers to help pray for the water and mining and all that stuff. So we still have a long ways to go, but I know I was called a militant one time because I stood up for our rights, and that didn't even bother me, so it's just somebody's actions, somebody's words to think that way, so I enjoy helping people, and this way I think, being a warrior is really good, and it's never ending. You're on the road all the time helping people, so doing things. So a lot of people need love and joy and respect and honor and trust and all that, so it's and I'm a great grandma. My grandma, I got 8 great grandchildren and 8 grandchildren, so I need to help them when they want me to come and be a part of their doings, their ceremonies, naming ceremonies. And so then people come to me and ask me for names, and so then I pray for their names, and we do naming ceremonies that way. So we've come a long ways here, and I was a teacher here at the grade school in Lac du Flambeau, the language and culture teacher, and then I also taught for LCO College in 3D art, and so besides that, continuing to learn Ojibwe and the language to understand life better. So going to a lot of ceremonies and being involved with the Great Lakes Indian Elders Association, Glenea. We just had a meeting down here in Oneida, and they're talking about Alzheimer's, and so they'll be here. And then also I'm involved with the Ancestral Women program, the tapestries that Mary Burns made, and we're planning to travel and do things there. And we already had a show at the Milwaukee Museum, Public Museum in Milwaukee there, and it was really nice to see, all the people that come to listen. And we're planning to go to Washington, Olympic Washington, the Smithsonian, and then we're going to Australia to the Indigenous gathering there. But also we'll be doing local things like the WIEA and the national WIEA. So, and then hopefully that will, bring on a lot of good feelings for people. So I think as Okechida, as protectors, we have to also consider, love and joy and happiness and harmony, for the people that are fighting for their life in a lot of ways. So, and understanding and respect. So I think those are a lot that Okechida has to think about when they're helping and making decisions.
Oh. What do you have to say to future warriors?
Always provide for people around you, help those in need of help. Don't be afraid to stand up and speak your mind. Always teach them the right path.
What about you, Georgian?
I would tell them to not be afraid to get out and see the world, because the world is a diverse place. It's not as like years ago when we didn't know what other countries were doing, but now we're global. And I encourage young people to get out there and see, because we will always be here and we're not going anywhere soon that I can see of. So home will always be here, but to get out and see things and learn about other cultures, I think is very important, especially in this day and age.
What about you, Vicki?
I would have to say, never ever apologize for being patriotic. Respect your country, respect yourself, and respect others.
All right, Miigwech.
The modern generation, if they were not taught right, but we need more participation from our younger veterans.
From the younger veterans, so like I'm in my late 30s, Christy's in her mid 30s, and we're active, but I don't know if it was because we were so welcome when I retired and then came to this community. I know like the Lac du Flambeau American Legion has been amazing just because it is really supportive. So I don't know, like a lot of people talk about, they're not ready to, or they don't think they're a veteran yet. Mm-hmm. So how would you let them know, or like make them think that, yes, I am a veteran now, or they think you have to be older or whatever. Like, how would you get over that? Or what would you say?
I think it depends a lot on their story during their service time also, because maybe some of them had a harder time and maybe saw things that they didn't want to see, experience things, and they just want to write that off in their history. And I understand that. Then I understand the older veterans who don't participate because they were lifers. They're done with it. Been there, done that. But I think I would try to encourage them as far as the teamwork effort and the helping the community and giving back.
Okay.
Because once you do that, when I was younger, I never realized what it was giving back really meant. You just, until you do it, the feeling is so cool.
It is. You can't get enough. It's like, oh, that's so cool when you help somebody or do
younger
that.
People, I don't think realize that now at their age, that how that feels.
That might be what they're missing.
Yeah, to be able to just do something where you don't because everybody, when you do something for somebody, just, you know, out of the goodness of your heart, sometimes that person thinks they have to pay you or you know, something in it, and it's not like that. You just help them, and it just feels really good.
Right.
Just to surprise them even, you know, and it just feels really good to do that.
So I hope we can encourage some of our younger people, or maybe even some of the other older veterans, to participate.
And we get, you know, some, just when we get the older veterans to show up, but what's very important with the older veterans is to listen to those stories, to hear those stories, to keep those stories.
Yeah.
And it makes, and when you do that, it helps the older veterans to still feel that they're part of something, that they're not forgotten, that somebody still cares about them.
Their stories are still important.
Yeah, so that's a part of our history. It's
Yeah.
a part of our
Right.
current
And
events,
and the younger veterans, their stories are just as important too, even though it's in modern day.
Right.
I found going to Standing Rock and sitting among all those young veterans that came into our big army tent, sat around that one night, and they were telling stories from Afghanistan and Iraq, and I just listened, and oh my gosh, this is, you know, I've never had a chance to sit around and listen to the young people tell their stories. Besides a close cousin maybe, but you know that.
yeah, and that was a special event too, having like thousands of veterans come when Standing Rock made the call, and you know, us as the elected Flambeau veterans, I know we had 8+ people, plus our tribal council had actually made their way over there. So, and just talking about, you know, warriors, I think that aspect you still felt that draw as warriors, as protectors, and you got to have that shared experience at Standing Rock. So that was pretty amazing. I know all three of you were over there, came to Standing Rock in that time in 2016 when they called for people to come and stand strong and support. So that's definitely plays into that aspect of helping out. And then listening, you know, and figuring out how to improve the future, or how we need to stand together as Native peoples, you know, not just in Ojibwe country, but across all Turtle Island. Anything else to add?
It was a good experience, Standing Rock. It showed the camaraderie amongst veterans.
Oh yeah, all ages. I think there were Korean War veterans there, and then the new ones that just got out, plus us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we put the
We got our little.
Standing Rock deployment that I think is it Neil? I
Ribbon.
think made those.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have that ribbon on our Eagle staff now, so it probably hangs there.
Yeah.
And we bring that to powwows first with our group, so very good.
Being
Awesome.
part of the color guard for powwows and memorial team is always something that I enjoy doing, and I'm proud to do it.
And that's one thing that's always important with the veterans, is there's always a special camaraderie with the veterans. No matter where you are, if you meet a vet, you can always strike a conversation, and you just have that bond.
That bond is strong.
Total strangers even.
Yes.
That's the fun part.
Yes, yes.
Fun part. Well, I actually enjoy this American Legion. I think this and Bad River, because we're always laughing.
Yes,
There's
Bad River
always-
Legion guys are fun.
Yeah, having fun, and you know, can't keep a straight face even at a funeral sometimes. But we seem to enjoy. We understand. I think we have this similar shared backgrounds. We've been through basic training, and we've been through some hard times also. So I think that camaraderie is very important. So, Miigwech, thank you. What do you have to say to future warriors?
This is a really great question, because my oldest son, Marcus, just joined the Army. And this was something that he felt he needed to do. And I wasn't going to sit there and say, no, don't do it, or yes, you should do it. And I said, whatever you decide to do, I will support you either way. Some people, you know, when I tell them he did that, they cringe. Some people say that that's awesome. So everyone has their own opinion about it. And what I would just have to say is it's your journey. This is your decision. This is something that if you feel you need to do it, then do it. I'm not going to tell you which branch to join. Go Army. But if that's something you feel you need to do, then by all means pursue it. Do a little bit of research first. You know, ask questions of other veterans. Find out about, you know, where you could be stationed. Ask those questions about different experiences. You know, talk to veterans. Some of them like to share their stories, and you can find out. You know, just by doing your little bit of research before you join, or, you know, sign your name on the dotted line. You know, and just be proud. If that's something you want to do, then I would encourage that. I would never tell anybody not to join. I think that it's an accomplishment, and it's really something to be proud of, and then you would carry that with you forever.
Rich. What do you have to say to future warriors?
I'd say for our future warriors is to learn your culture and your language, and to be ready to help. And also, this year, 2019, June 21st, is going to be our World Peace and Prayer Day here in Lac du Flambeau. The first one will be at our Living Arts and Culture Center Bowl, Indian Bowl. And so getting ready for that. So I'd like to see our veterans, our warriors come forward and help out for world peace. You know, even though if we don't make a lot of world peace, we're thinking about our reservation here, and, you know, in surrounding people, different religions are going to come together, and we're going to join together in prayer. And so I believe that it's going to make a big impact for the nation here and for other people. I talked to our tribal chairman, Joe Wildcat, and invited him to come there and to welcome people and to say some words. So, and then I also seen we passed tobacco to Robin Careful to be our MC, so we're preparing to get ready for that, and it takes a lot, you know. So, and then there was a video years ago called Enduring Ways of Lac du Flambeau, produced by Lorraine Slabbert. And so I think if people go back and look at historical things that have been taped here by our elders, our Gate Anishinaabe, our elders that give us a lot of wisdom and teachings to us. So passing on wisdom to our young people and seeing who they are because of the way the world is today, you know, two cultures, the dominant society tells us how to have our education, tells us how to live our lives. So they have to remember, I mentioned before, who they are, you know, as the people here, as Ogichida people, young warriors coming up and defending the rights of our treaty rights is important to continue that, you know. So it's a constant thing. This reservation here was like a concentration camp years ago, that they were wards of the government, and that they want us to keep tabs on our lifestyles, and, you know. So our people been through a lot of struggles, commodities, living poorly. Today, the people have a lot of good things today, you know. They don't have to carry water, they don't have to go to the outhouses, you know, things like that. So protect our rights and what we initially deserve as Anishinaabe people, you know. So I think that's important for our young people to recognize and learn a lot about their culture and their Indian native way of life, you know, Anishinaabe. So I say best wishes to everybody, and thank you for the same to let me be involved in this program that you're doing for your class. Say miigwech, and gijoinamin, blessings to you and to all the relatives, and then we magna miigwech.
Responses by Winona LaDuke, read by Christy Jackson. Ogichida or Gichidakwe means those who serve the people. I work to serve the people, and I work to serve all my relatives and Mother Earth. That's who I work for. As a young woman, I was swept into the international work of the American Indian movement and had very significant influences by great leaders including Frank Fools Crow and Matthew King, John Trudell, Wilma Mankiller, Roberta Blackgoat, Janet McGleed, Madonna Thunderhawk, and others. Fearless with perspective and measured in their actions, I always worked for them. How have you lived a warrior's life? Do what is needed to be done. Do not shy away from what is necessary. Work hard and selflessly. Summon up your inner strength. Rely upon your ancestors and all of those relatives and Osquibis who watch over you. And do what needs to be done. Work to encourage others to do their work, but always strive to do your part and to understand what your part is in a complex terrain. I always consider that my privilege, that I can travel and have access to see far, enables me to see what is coming towards our people, our king, and then we can make better decisions. I like to see us make proactive decisions, not reactive. The responsibility of a warrior is to place your people in a position that they are not in a defense. What would you say to future warriors? Future warriors, remember, nothing is free. To get great powers, our elders would fast for days and make great sacrifices. Leverage your strongest self and make your strongest self stronger in cooperation with others. Check your ego. Remain committed to the smallest task. Do not expect that you are the leader all of the time. You are a leader some of the time. Pray hard. Your actions are your prayers. Be humble and be compassionate. Apologize and make right. Don't carry other people's bags unless you want to hear, but be clear about it. And always out of love. Read Trudell. Listen to him. He was a great warrior spirit.